This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Links in the description below. Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things to do for percussionists in 2022. So that means this video is a technique talk. Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Robert Utomo, Bradley Crowley, Sungshun Han, Scott Rader, Greg Harris, Dean P. Newberger, Retro Percussion, and Wendy Tran. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is Alex Holloway. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/AdamTan, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. First video for 2022. Actually, that's not true. I did just release my brand new piece, Sword Shield. If you haven't checked it out, you can check it out over here. But yeah, I hope you all had a good holiday break. I'm really excited to make more videos for you guys in 2022. So if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads as I upload every single week. And yes, this is a brand new microphone. This is my new Rode NT1A that I got during Boxing Day. I've overhauled a lot of my gear that has been needing replacement for quite a while now. So you'll be seeing more of this pop up on the show. And if you ever want to cop any of the gear that is in my episodes, all the links to those are in the description below. So it's January, it's the start of the calendar year, not necessarily the start of the academic year for everyone, but it's a new year nonetheless, and it's a great time to basically set yourself up for the rest of this year. You've just done 2021, maybe you just graduated from school, maybe you're entering a new school this year, maybe you're entering a new job, maybe you've got heaps of performance opportunities this year, or you'd like to get more performance opportunities this year. So this is a time where you can really prepare for all of those goals. And if you watch my videos frequently, you'll know that I really believe in simple, small steps to achieving bigger things. So that's why in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that will help you be really prepared for whatever challenges you have in 2022. And yes, this video is geared towards percussionists more, but it can also apply to other non-percussionist musicians. And speaking of non-percussionist musicians, if you'd like to join our Discord server, it's adamtanpercussion.com/Discord. Okay, so thing number 1, the first thing you can do to prepare yourself for 2022 is prepare your gear. As much as we like to say having fancier mallets or nicer instruments don't make you a better player, it does kind of make it a little bit easier. And at the end of the day, percussionists need to use percussion gear. So if you don't have the right gear for the job, it's going to be a lot harder. So I think it's really important to go through your calendar for 2022 and check for any sort of deadlines, assessments, projects, concerts, anything that you feel like you might need to obtain new gear for, or you might need to maintain existing gear for, and just try and get that stuff done early, because it feels really nice to walk into all of these projects with all your gear ready to go. For example, recently I've been writing a lot of vibraphone music, so I needed to get some vibraphone mallets. I mean, this sounds really obvious, but there have been times where I remember in university I would be preparing for a project and I didn't have the mallets that we needed for it. And it was just really embarrassing because by the time we got to the project, it was too late. Now, I also mentioned maintaining existing gear for those who are on a budget or those who don't necessarily need new gear. So that could be things like changing your heads, tuning your drums. But one of the things that I always mention on this show that I think is really, really good for making your mallets feel like they're new again is taping your mallets. Taping your mallets is a really easy way to keep your mallets feeling really fresh. Like these mallets, I've used them for, well, since 2018. You might remember they used to have yellow tape in a lot of my older videos, so I tore that tape off recently and replaced it with this brand new grey camo tape about a month ago, and they feel like brand new mallets. It's really, really nice. Here's another set that I did recently. This one took me about 10 minutes, but yeah, I usually use tennis tape because it's a lot cheaper than dedicated mallet tape, and you can get them in all kinds of really cool colors, like this camo color. So if you're not sure how to tape mallets, I do have a tutorial on the channel on how to do it, but I'm also going to make a new one because that tutorial is quite old. My final point for this is don't get gear to cover your weaknesses. For example, I used to have really weak lateral strokes and I would always just compensate by buying lighter mallets. Like the heads would get smaller and smaller and smaller and they would get harder, and it didn't really make things better. It made it sound harder, but it wasn't better. My hands were still really stiff, and then when it came to time where I needed to use heavy mallets, I couldn't do it. I'll talk more about how you can fix these little issues with practice techniques later in this video, but yes, don't use gear to cover your weaknesses. The second thing you can do to prepare yourself for 2022 is organize your sheet music. So I personally don't like to use sheet music on stage if I'm doing solo stuff, but there are many times where you will need to use sheet music, such as in rehearsals or when you're playing really long ensemble pieces. I'm going to be playing Steve Reich's Mallet Quartet in a couple of months, and that is really long. It's like a 25-page score. So that's why it's really important to organize your sheet music collection for all the projects you'll be doing this year. And I'm going to start off with the most obvious solution, which is going paperless. So this is something that I'm investing in for the next few years. I'm going to go fully paperless with my sheet music collection. And like I said, I don't really use sheet music much on stage. So when I do, I want it to be efficient. And using a tablet like this iPad Pro over here makes things so much easier. I currently use this Firefly pedal from Page Flip that is really handy, and it helps me, as you can see, turn the page without actually having to touch it, which is great for pieces that are really long, as I said. And I think this is just a really easy way to have all of your music with you without having to bring heaps of books. For context, this is roughly the amount of sheet music that I've put onto my iPad so far, and I've only had my iPad for a couple of weeks, and my actual hard copy sheet music collection is about 25 of these boxes. It's a lot of paper, it's a lot of sheet music, and if I wanted to bring that around with me, I'd have to bring a suitcase. So yeah, I'm still just getting into the paperless trend, but if you'd like me to make a video about going paperless with sheet music, let me know down in the comments below. Now, I understand that not everybody wants to go paperless or has access to a tablet to be able to go paperless. I mean, I myself only got this iPad about 2 weeks ago. So if you're still using paper sheet music to learn music, especially for whatever projects that you might have this year, a good thing to do while you're in this preparation mode is to annotate your scores. That can be things like highlighting bars, highlighting important phrases. I find this really helps me with ensemble works to keep track of where I am. And this is just an easy way to make music more digestible because it makes the music look like it's many small sections instead of one massive piece of sheet music. So if you'd like to see a video with tips on how to annotate your score for easier reading, let me know down in the comments below. Now, the third thing that you can do to prepare yourself for 2022 is make time for your personal development. Now, I'm going to shift the narrative away from percussion for a second, because when we talk about personal development in percussion, we always talk about things like doing your rudiments, doing your scales, practicing with a metronome, tout travers et tout dit beaucoup. And I'm going to say you should schedule time and set goals for non-musical things, because work-life balance is a really important thing. And in the music world, because music is seen as kind of like a hobby to some people, like it's a fun activity, right? It's not like going to the office and doing office work. It's supposed to be fun. So we sometimes forget to delineate between what is personal music and what is professional music. Well, if you're watching this video, it's probably part of your professional career, or at least a big portion of your professional career. So do things that are not related to that. Things like going to the gym, learning languages, spending time with friends and family. These are things that I've tried to prioritize more over the last few years, because when I started this studio thing, I was obsessed with doing music-related work all the time, to the point where I literally just burned myself out. And there are so many resources online for personal development, and one of them is the sponsor for today's video, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community filled with thousands of inspiring classes for creative people like you and me, where you can learn new skills, develop your passions, and most importantly, focus on your personal growth. Classes range from as short to 15 minutes all the way to several hours and can fit any schedule and cover all kinds of topics, including things like graphic design, photography, music, illustration, and business fields like marketing, leadership, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle productivity videos like interior design, cooking, and even fitness. Now, since we're on the topic of personal development, one of the classes that I've been watching on Skillshare is Reach Your Goals, 7 Personal Development Exercises to Build a Life You Love, which is by Nedra Tawwab, a therapist and an author, and she just has a really great way of explaining how to make things a lot simpler. And one of the things that I picked up from this class was establishing a strong positive mindset through the use of language. You know, a lot of the time we say things like, oh, maybe I can do it, I think maybe it's possible. Instead of saying that, you just say, I will do it. I think it's just really awesome to be able to have these kinds of classes at your fingertips. And the Skillshare community is always growing. There's always new classes added all the time. So if you want to get started right now, the first 1,000 people to click my link in the description below will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare Premium. So get on it now. The fourth thing you can do to prepare yourself for 2022 is strengthen your basics. Okay, so now we are going to go back to percussion related topics. And one of the things I always say is make friends with your practice pad. So a lot of people think when they have a practice pad, all they practice is things like single stroke roll, double stroke roll, paradiddle, etc., etc. Well, one of the things I get asked a lot is how to get better at marimba skills when you don't have a marimba. Well, why not just use your mallets on a practice pad? One of the things I did for a long time to get my laterals better and to get my one-handed rolls a lot more fluid was literally just doing this on a practice pad. It's super mindless and super simple. Other things you can try is doing rudiments with inside and outside mallets separately, doing your independent strokes as paradiddles, doing this as paradiddles. Basically, what I'm trying to say is to find simple and mindless ways to practice difficult skills. So instead of trying to practice your triple lateral stroke on the marimba by doing a triple lateral stroke, How about doing it on a practice pad? Because then you don't need to worry about notes, then you can do it while you're watching Netflix or doing something else, and it does train your hands silently in the background. And yeah, without a strong technical base, it's really hard to be more accurate, it's really hard to be more musical, it's really hard to play all the pieces that you want. So start small. And the final thing you can do to prepare yourself for 2022 is accept that failure is part of the process. Now, a lot of these videos where people talk about earning $100,000 a day through NFTs or positive mindset during your morning routine as you shower yourself in ice or the hustle mindset, people forget that failure is an essential part of the process. Like a lot of the famous people I follow that are percussionists on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, they always talk about how good they are and how amazing they are, but they don't really talk about the times where they showed weakness. So normalize making mistakes, normalize failing, and be open to criticism. If you need help on a particular thing, don't be afraid to ask for help, even if that help is critiquing you, even if they're saying your playing is not good, your technique is not good. But they will also say usually, here's how to fix it, or here's something you could do to fix it. That is golden advice. In 2019, we did a pretty good Marimba Fest, but there were a few operational mistakes that kind of made the thing a little bit bumpy, and people gave us feedback, and basically I took note of all of that feedback and we changed all of those things in 2021. And I think the feedback was much more positive in 2021. So listening to other people really makes a big difference. Take note of all of the things people say and use that to grow. So if you enjoyed today's 5 tips, please give me a thumbs up, and if you have any tips of your own that you'd like to share with others, leave them down in the comments below. As I said in the video, any of the products that I mentioned, all the links are in the description below, and if there's anything that I said in the video that you'd like me to make an entire episode on, leave that in the comments as well. Finally, if you haven't already hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads, do so now, because I am uploading all kinds of fun content on this channel, including a brand new vibraphone solo. That's the next video that will appear on this channel. It's called Violet. I'm really excited to put it out. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.